So let's have a look at water. We're looking at hot water. Now, hot water is a stimulant. And we all know that if you're cold and you have a hot shower, you feel that stimulating effect. In fact, often it's a little bit hot if your body's cold. And then as it warms up, it's not terribly hot anymore, is it? Your body has adjusted to it. So hot initially is a stimulant. But when the hot remains on the body, there's a slowing down that we'll call it a depressant. Meaning it depresses the movement. Because what are we stimulating when hot water is applied to the body?
The blood.
The blood. That's what we're stimulating, blood. And the Bible says the life of the flesh is in the blood. What verse is that? Leviticus 17:11. The life of the flesh is in the blood. So this is life. So what has blood got in it to be life? It's got red blood cells. And the red blood cells carry three main things. They carry, and it's the hemoglobin on the red blood that carries oxygen, the most vital element needed for life. Nutrients. Our stomach's very busy at the moment digesting lunch, and little by little the nutrients are going into the blood, and tomorrow I'll show you straight to the project manager, the liver, and then the liver determines what happens to those nutrients. And the third thing is water. But right now I want to list the four vital elements needed for life. And you can find this any chemistry book, biology book, anatomy and physiology book. 4 vital elements needed for life. Number 1 is oxygen. Number 2 is water. Number 3, does anyone know? Sodium. And number 4 is potassium. Sodium is found in highest concentrations in seawater. That's why our salt's important. Potassium, where do we get that from? All our fresh fruits and vegetables. They're high in potassium. These are the 4 vital elements needed for life. And it is the blood that is the carrier of those. Blood also, the red blood cells do something else. They carry away waste. And that's very important. The red blood cells are the oxygen carriers, the nutrient carriers, the water carriers, and that carries away waste. That's an important part. But the blood also contains white blood cells. What are the white blood cells? They're your internal army. No wonder the Bible calls the blood the life of the flesh. And no matter what the problem in your body, all it needs is blood. So if you want to wonder cure, you know what it is? Blood. It's the blood. And water is the best mover of blood. So I want to show you how water affects the blood. So when you apply hot water to the body, it has a stimulating effect. And it takes approximately 3 minutes to get from the stimulating effect to the depressing effect. Cold. When you first apply cold to the body, what's the effect?
Yes.
It's a stimulant. That's
Stimulant,
right.
yeah.
In fact, it's the best stimulant there is. A young man who's a friend of mine, he got into the habit of having coffee every morning. And he rang me one day and he said, I found something better than coffee. I said, oh, I'm so glad. He said, I finish my hot shower with cold in the morning.
Great.
It's a stimulating effect. That's why we go, when it touches us. So the hot is a stimulant. But it's not long once the cold, or once the person is in the cold water before what happens? Depression. This is why so many people died when the Titanic went down. There were many people in that water and their body just stopped. It just stopped. And they usually just laid their hand down and appeared to go to sleep, but they actually drifted into death. And you might have heard stories of mother and the little children caught out in the snow, and the little children just want to lay down and sleep. And we can't, we must keep moving because they would die. Because that's what the effect of cold. And so when we first apply cold to the body, the stimulation that we experience is a reaction. So that stimulating effect is a reaction. How long does it take to get from stimulant to depression?
30 seconds.
That's right, 30 seconds. That's not long, is it? 30 seconds. Now, the intrinsic factor of cold is that it's a depressant. That's the intrinsic effect of cold. It is a depressant. The intrinsic factor of hot is stimulation. Whereas the reaction of hot is to slow down. So what we do to move blood, because I think we've just determined any part of the body that's not working well, we need more blood. So what we do is we use the intrinsic effect of heat and we use the reaction effect of cold. So let's have a look at this. Let's say someone has just sprained their ankle and the foot is swelling and they're in a lot of pain. We'll do 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold, and we do that 3 times. Now, if the response is this, because you're looking for your response, if the response is the swelling's not going down after 1 dip of hot and 1 dip of cold, go to 1 minute hot and 1 minute cold. Because we actually want a very much slowing down of the inflammatory response in there, in the foot. Can you see how you're also looking at response there? So, but this is the rule of thumb, is 3 minutes hot. And where would we use 3 minutes hot? So you see, whenever you've got an inflammatory condition, you want to use a little less hot and a little more cold. 30 seconds, ice. And usually it is done 3 times. Because the body's getting exhausted. Because a huge amount of blood is being drawn into that area. So it takes a lot of energy from the body. Now sometimes if the person, you do it 3 times and they go, can we do more? If they're vibrant and fairly fit, they can probably take a little bit more. If it's a little child or an elderly person, you might just say, we'll do it again in an hour. We'll do it again in 2 hours. So it's very important that you watch responses.